because everything is situational, right? And no two incidents are the same. And generally, you're not dealing with the same people either, right? So, number one, you have to look at it as an individual incident rather than lumping it within with other things. Now, whether you intervene or not, again, depends on what we're talking about. So, let's just say that there's someone who is, I don't know, used a racial slur, right? The one thing that always, I shouldn't say always, okay, let's just say 98% of the time, what works is not jumping in um, with a punitive or, being corrective, but to step in and say, why would you say something like that? Being curious and continuing to ask questions usually diffuses a situation and allows conversations to happen. In my opinion, to ask the question because we don't know where it's coming from. When it could have been a conversation that everyone could have learned from had they tackled it right then and there. So where it happens, it's where it should be addressed, whether it's in a group of people, one-on-one, within seconds. Not later, don't want to embarrass the person right then and there. And then it should always be handled, again, from a place of curiosity. Why would you say that? What do you mean by that? What do you mean nothing by it? Did you know that? Blah, blah, blah. Some people might be offended by that. But whatever. The point is to keep the conversation open and to keep it going, keep the communication going. You get hijacked, as humans, how we get hijacked and we get that pit in our stomach and we feel uncomfortable. That's because we're in fight or flight mode. And our body does that. We cannot control it from happening. So what happens is when you're in fight or flight, your blood goes to your arms and to your legs, which means it's not up here, right? So we're not really in control of what we say and how we say it a lot of times because we're hijacked. So so that's why we say stay curious, because if you stay curious and you really mean it, you're listening to understand, then you're calm, right? Others get angry, others get defensive, others start to analyze. I mean, there's all these different things that we do that will show up in how you respond. So, number one, and this just takes a few seconds. So number one is check in with yourself. Am I in a position where I can say this without, losing my mind or saying something wrong or making it worse? So check in with yourself would be the number one tool. Of course, I said being curious. Another is to assume the best. And we always say that, but we don't, it doesn't kick in the moments when we need it to. And that's because you're hijacked and you're going straight to that place of they're trying to hurt, they're bad, they're this, get them, shut them down, all of that, right? And so it's coming from a place, so you take that, another way to get out of being hijacked is take a deep breath first. There's also something else. This is not in the moment, but it sort of speaks to the having the best intention, and we call it fact or fiction. And we had a situation recently where a woman was walking down the street. She's an African American woman, a black woman, and she was walking down the street, and she in her neighborhood, and there was a Caucasian woman who was walking on the other side of the street, and the woman crossed the street rather than past them. So she's relaying the story to me, and she says, she's just racist and, blah, blah, blah. And this is my own neighborhood and I'm one of the only black people. And I was like, wait. So I said, tell me the facts. Tell me more about this. What happened? How big was the sidewalk? Blah, blah, blah. So she says, well, the sidewalk was pretty small. And so how small? That it's tough for two people to pass each other. It's like, okay, well that's tough. And she said, and she was walking her dog. So I said, okay, so she's walking her dog. It's a very small sidewalk. Tell me more, which is a good term to always use. Tell me more about that. Someone said something ridiculous. She was like, what? Tell me more about that. And when you say, tell me more about that, it gives you a moment to regroup, right? Tell me more. So I said, okay, tell me more. Tell me more about that. And she said, well, there were like 6 of us. So you've got 6 people on a 2-person narrow sidewalk, and there's a woman with a dog who's coming towards you. She crosses the street. She could have crossed the street because she was afraid her dog would attack them. Who knows? It could have been that she's like, okay, there's no way I'm going to pass them. Let me just get out of the way, rather than break up, try to get through 6 people that are walking on the sidewalk. There could have been so many reasons that she crossed the street. And it could also be racism. It could be all of that. But the bottom line is it fact or is it fiction?